I would like to thank all of you for joining us for this exciting event, Active Listening, Seeking to Understand. This collaborative virtual event is the brainchild of the National Sales Network, Chicago, St. Louis, Ohio, and Ohio chapters, and is led by our fantastic partners at Grainger. Like all NSN events, this workshop is a part of our continued mission to provide professional and developmental skills for sales and sales management professionals and anyone seeking to grow in their sales skills. Our workshop today will be led by the incredible members of Grainger team, including the event facilitator, Courtney McDonald, a learning and development consultant in sales effectiveness with Grainger, and Nick Trotter, regional sales VP with Grainger, and also an NSN ambassador. You will also hear from other leaders of the National Sales Network, including the Ohio chapter president, Cynthia Fountain, who will lead and moderate the Q&A today, as well as Ross Connor, the St. Louis chapter president, who will conclude our time together. We invite you to be engaging throughout the event, ask questions, and of course, practice active listening throughout, as we will give away a total of 3 free conference registrations to our 2021 conference taking place in DC next fall. Thank you all again for joining us. Courtney, I will turn things over to you.
All right, Taylor, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
Perfect. All right, I am going to share my screen real quick. If you guys will just let me know when you can see that, Taylor. Can you see my screen, Taylor? All right, I think Taylor is muted, but I am going to assume that you guys can see my screen. Good afternoon. My name is Courtney McDonald, and I am super excited to have the opportunity to connect with you all this afternoon. I love that Taylor already incentivized you guys to use your active listening skills for this presentations, because it sounds like there are some giveaways in store. So like Taylor said, I am with Grainger. I am part of our learning and development team. I've been with Grainger just over 4 years, and prior to my current role, I was a government account manager out of Northern Virginia. So while I am a North Carolina native, go Tar Heels, my family and I live about 20 miles right outside of Washington, D.C. I am a very, very proud mom to 2 amazing little girls, Franny and Davis, and our COVID-19 rescue dog, Fenway. So if you are curious about his name, my husband is from the Boston area, and part of my selling him on the idea of adopting a dog during, or I should say negotiating, adopting a dog during quarantine was that he was going to get to name the dog. So my husband is the biggest Red Sox fan that I know. He was a Coca-Cola and hot dog boy at Fenway Stadium as a kid. So thus the name Fenway, if you're curious. So I have been in sales in some fashion form pretty much my entire professional career. I am a people person by nature, and so the sales role is something that I kind of naturally gravitate toward, and I am sure you guys can relate to that. But let me ask you, as sales professionals, do you think that we are hired because we're expert listeners? Probably not. Probably not. We are hired because we're great communicators. We are really good at talking to people, but being comfortable talking to our customers, it's only going to get us but so far. Where active listening comes into play. So I have no doubt that you guys put, including myself, put lots of prep work into our customer meetings, right? We have our objectives, we have our agenda, we've crafted our questions that we want to ask. Because for these conversations to be impactful, we want to get the most out of it, right? But are we prepared? Are we prepared to really listen to our customers, to really understand what's most important to them? You know, you think about COVID right now, it has impacted all of us, including our customers greatly. So what is most important to your customers right now? What is their biggest priority? That may look very different now than it did, say, a year ago, right? So unless we truly listen to what's being said and maybe even what's not being said, okay, paying attention to body language, when we really listen to our customers and understand what those shifts and priorities are, that's how we become really strong business partners. And that all starts with active listening. So let me ask you guys, what comes to mind? What first pops in your mind when you see this slide? Is it interrogation? This guy obviously looks miserable. Is he being peppered with questions? Is this how you feel when your kids ask you 5,000 questions in a 5-minute period? Maybe that last one is just me, but hey, do we ever do this to our customers? Even just a little bit, right? Do we sometimes ask them question after question after question after question without even catching a breath? We do. And we do it not from a place of wanting our customer to feel interrogated, but we are so excited for these customer meetings because we've put so much work into our meetings and we want answers, right? Because answers are what help us uncover opportunities. And when we can uncover opportunities, we can help our customers. We can also meet our sales goal, all right? So let's play a little trivia, all right? And this is gonna be where we first use, whoops, skipped ahead, where we are first going to use our chat section. So I want you guys to throw this into chat. How many words do you think the average person can say in 60 seconds? All right. How many words do you think the average person can say in a minute? All right. And I am going to make sure here that I can see your chat. Oh, okay, I see 450, 125, 67. Jessica says 38. Heather says 500. I love that you guys are already playing along with me. So the average person can say 150 words in a minute, okay? So now let's flip the coin. How many words do you think the average person can listen, can actually process in 60 seconds? How many words can the average person process in 60 seconds? Okay, I think these are new. Arthur says 7, Crystal says 40, Justin says 400, Ashley says 20, 750, guys. 750 words is the average for a person during a 60-second period. So what does that mean? Let's think about this in terms of a customer conversation. You just asked one of your customers, one of your well-crafted questions, and now they're answering it. So you hear those 150 words, but your brain still has the capacity for 600 more. If I'm doing my math correctly, your brain still has the capacity for 600 more. So this is called the elusive 600. Okay, these 600 words are filled with thoughts like, what's the next question? Oh God, don't forget to ask them about X, Y, and Z. Is that a competitor's box? What did they buy from the competitor? Oh my God, was that my stomach growling? Did they just hear that? When is lunch? We are conditioned to not listen well. So that means we have to try all the harder. We have to really fine tune our skills so that we don't miss a beat with our customers, so that we don't miss a pertinent piece of information that's gonna help us move an opportunity along in the sales process, okay? So let's, whoops, I'm gonna try to clear the, there we go. I'm gonna try to clear our chat here. Okay, so here's what we're gonna talk about for the next 20 minutes. I want us to really have a solid understanding of the importance of recognizing customer pings and how to best act upon them to achieve desired results. All right, I want us to be able to recognize effective listening behaviors as well as barriers to effective listening behaviors. And then really max the level of information received just by listening with our ears, okay? And then also use effective listening techniques to have impactful conversations for both the customer and for you, because you're in it to win it, okay? So let's tackle responsive listening first, okay? So responsive listening is the act of letting your customer know that you're interested in what they have to say, okay? You're interested in hearing more. This is our first active listening skill. And this can be done verbally or it can be done non-verbally, all right? So I want you to think about things that you do as a professional to let your customer know, hey, I wanna hear more. Like, I'm totally tracking with you. What are some things that we do both verbally and non-verbally? I'm going to look in the chat here. Throw it in chat for me. What do we do to let our customers know I'm interested in what you're talking about? I think I'm doing one right now. Yeah, eye contact. Yes, Jennifer says lean in, but only but so much. We still got a social distance, right? Shake our head, yes. Nod. Body language. Yeah, we don't want this, right? We don't want closed off body language, right? We want open body language. We might say things like, yeah, yeah, I hear you. Great. Anything, oh, I love that. I love that. Follow-up questions. Absolutely. We're going to talk about that in a minute as well. So we want to be very aware of our responsive listening behavior, showing empathy. Absolutely. And I think right now that is more key than ever. So in order to really get an understanding of how important responsive listening is, you guys are going to witness firsthand a conversation with a horrible listener. So I've asked Taylor to have a little role play conversation with me. Taylor is going to play her awesome self, and I'm going to play the role of the horrible listener. What I want you guys to do is observe specific behaviors that I do, that I demonstrate, and make note of them. Not like, well, she was rude, or that was kind of a jerk thing to say. I want like really specific behaviors that you pick up on, okay? All right, so Taylor, I see you were there. Hey, you know what? I really kind of want to pick your brain. I was thinking, like, once this COVID pandemic, it is under control and it's safe to travel again, I would love to take my family on a destination vacation. Have you been anywhere pre-COVID that you'd recommend?
Yeah, so actually last summer I went to Tulum, Mexico. It was actually my first time going to Mexico, and had a fabulous time. Like, I flew first class.
Oh my God, first class, fancy. I don't know if I could do that, but good for you.
Yeah, I think it's, it's something that everyone should be able to experience, but was able to fly first class and stayed in like Tulum.
Oh, wait, you said Tulum. You know what? I think I've heard of Tulum because my husband, we went to the Riviera Maya a few years ago for my 40th birthday. Is that are they kind of close? Do you know?
Similar. I mean,
now that I think about it, we had such a good time, Taylor. Like we had the best time. So you got to tell me, like, did you stay in an all-inclusive resort?
No, we didn't stay all-inclusive. We decided to do more of like a kind of hidden gem type of hotel that was like right off the beach, but it was more exclusive than inclusive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very like yogi type of retreat.
Yoga. I totally take yoga. Okay, I get that. Okay. So it wasn't all inclusive. Please tell me there weren't kids, right? Because I've always been told if you're going to take a vacation, it's without kids. If you take your kids, it's
Yeah, no, there was no kids. It was just me and my girlfriend who went, and it was more just like, it was just like really relaxing. I'm sure there's kids around, but there weren't any kids that I necessarily.
Right. Okay, but it wasn't all inclusive. Okay. Well, did you guys do any fun like excursions or anything?
Yeah, we actually went to, besides going to the beach and to the ruins, we went to the cenotes, which is like this cavernous swimming area. There's like several around the country and around that area. But what's really awesome about it is that it's like perfect for folks who like to snorkel and scuba dive, because the water is
like open water, right? So
yeah, it's open water and it's in a cave. So there's like lots of like beautiful nature, but there's also like bats there, which is
whoa. They're like bats, as in like flying bats?
Yeah, like bats, but they don't pay attention to you at all. Like, it's actually
with bats. Like, are they close to you?
No, not necessarily. Like, they're just hanging out in the cave in their natural habitat.
You could see them and they could see you.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many beautiful things, beyond that. I'm like,
I can't get beyond the bats. That's crazy. But kudos to you. You're much braver than I am.
No, it's definitely. Sorry, I lost my train of thought a little bit. No,
I'm just talking about that.
No, it's definitely more to see than just the bats. I mean, the water is beautiful. If you really enjoy swimming, if you enjoy snorkeling, like the cenotes in Tulum, Mexico are absolutely perfect. Like, it was such a fabulous trip.
Let me ask you, like, so did you use a like a travel agent?
No, I didn't use a travel agent. My friend and I, we got inspiration from like Pinterest and like Instagram. Like,
Oh, no, girlfriend. Now, listen, you have got to use, next time you and your girls are going to plan a trip, you've got to use my travel agent. She is fantastic. She knows all the hot spots. She's the one who got us like into the whole, like, you know, like all-inclusive resorts. I'm still, I gotta tell you, it's the way to go. I appreciate the yogi vibe, but this is the way to go. So definitely gotta let me know if you're gonna plan another trip, and I'll give you her information.
yeah, I'll definitely consider that next time.
All right, scene. All right, Taylor, because Taylor, I have some questions for you. But before we get there, I want to hear what, other than the fact that that was just horrible. I do not talk like that, folks. Like, that is not my MO, but I want to hear what you guys saw in terms of poor listenings, other than an awesome performance. Taylor did awesome. That was a hot mess. That was painful. That was painful for me. All right, what are some interrupting constantly? What else did I do? Throw it in there. You didn't let her get through her thoughts. Absolutely. In fact, at one point she said, I totally lost my train of thought. Could I have made that more about myself, Elena? Yeah, no, I totally made that about myself. What are a couple more things that I'm looking for? Was I critical? Disregarded her thoughts and preferences 100%. Totally took over. I hijacked that conversation. Yes, I was critical, all inclusive. That was very judgmental, and I was totally criticizing her for her choices when it comes to vacationing, which is so wrong. What about that last piece when she was trying to paint this beautiful, amazing experience she had snorkeling? Granted, it was with bats, but it probably was one of the coolest experiences you've had, right, Taylor?
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean,
Yeah.
like, the water was beautiful. It was like, if I had time to snorkel, I totally would have. And yeah.
Arthur's like, bats. Could she have focused any more on bats? I totally missed out on her wanting to express that experience because I couldn't get past one single fact, and that was the bats. So now I want to turn the tables, and Taylor, I want you to tell me what you felt. What was the stuff? Arthur says, wait, the story wasn't about bats. My mind was. So I want you to tell me, Taylor, tell us like how you felt. What did you experience kind of on the receiving end of that horrible listening that I demonstrated?
Yeah, I think in addition to what everyone's been saying, I definitely felt like I wasn't being heard. Like, I was very excited to share a really incredible experience with you, and share, like, you know, how I was able to enjoy it. And I definitely felt criticized and interrupted, and that my my thoughts and my feelings weren't being appreciated, and that you were just trying to tell me about all these other things that I could have done or should have done, and try to not ruin my vacation, but kind of like pre-plan it for me and not let me revel in the experience that I already had. So it felt kind of like it was just rude.
It was so rude. But you and I have talked enough, you know, that's not the real me.
Yes.
Well, why did we do this? Why did we go through this very, very painful role play? Because, guys, we can be blurters, blurt out, just kind of by nature because we're salespeople. And it's not because we're rude, and it's not because we're jerks like I just was. It's not because we don't want to hear what the other person, what our customers have to say. It's because sometimes we get really excited when we start to hear an opportunity, right? We start to pick up on something that's really important to our customers, and we're like, oh my gosh, I have exactly what they need. We have exactly what they need. And while that may be the case, we still need to pump the brakes, make sure that we're tracking with our customers so that we don't miss really important information needed to really move forward on an opportunity. Okay, that's why I put this out there. So just be highly aware that we don't interrupt, even if it's with a good motive, because customer, I have exactly what you need and I can so help you right now. I can help alleviate some of that pain. Let our customers finish so that we get the full picture. Taylor, thank you very much. All right, so our second and one of my favorites, one of my absolute favorite elements of active listening are picking up on pings. What are pings? Pings are clues that our customers give us that something is really important to them, okay? A ping could be, it could be verbal, it could be nonverbal, okay? It could be like the tone of voice that they use, regardless of what's coming out of their mouth. It could be the body language that they use. It could be even the words that they choose to use. But pings are clues that tell us this is what my customer really means. This is what's really, I can just read it on my customer's face. Like that is what they are so excited about. So there are three elements to communicating a message. And this totally plays into pings, 3 elements. And they are tone, words, and body language. So again, I want you guys to weigh in chat, and I want you to tell me what you think. Woo, I just gave it away. Man, oh man, I just gave you guys the answer. Quick fingers. I was gonna have you guys weigh in and tell me if words, tone, or body language, of those 3, what carries the most weight when it comes to communicating message. But I gave it away, I'm sorry guys. Everyone gets a point. So body language is what gives us, or really what helps our message be heard. Words have the smallest part, which is crazy. Tone, a bit more. Body language is what sends the message home. So I'm going to give you guys a real life example, and I will preface the story by telling you I will never win Mom of the Year. Okay? I will never win that award. So last year, I picked my girls up from school, and I had 15 minutes left on a conference call. And I was muted, I didn't have to speak, but I needed to listen. So I get my girls in the car and I say, hey guys, I need you to be really quiet on the drive home. Mommy's gotta finish a conference call, but when we get home, we wanna hear about your day, what you learned, the fun you had. So then, all right, we're good, I'm 10 and 2. I'm hand-free here listening to my conference call. And all of a sudden, my 7-year-old, Franny, starts to kick the back of the passenger chair, which is very annoying. She kicks it, I'm thinking she's gonna stop. Nope, she keeps kicking it. So without looking away from the road, Franny, honey, please don't kick the chair. That is really, really distracting to mommy while I'm trying to drive and listen to my conference call. Pause, it stops, and then it commences. This time, even harder. She's kicking the passenger seat even harder. Needless to say, she's annoyed that we're not talking and I'm on a conference call. She's kicking the seat. Franny, please stop kicking the seat. That is really distracting to mom while I'm trying to drive. It continues, harder and faster. She's kicking the seat. Thank goodness we are coming up to a stoplight. Stop at the stoplight. I make eye contact with her in the rear view mirror. Franny, do not kick the seat again. As we are locked eyes, what do I see? I was like, oh Jesus, take the wheel. So thank goodness we were at a stop sign. And in that moment, whatever scary, like mean mommy face I could make, I turned around, I pointed my finger, I actually lowered my tone, and I said, Franny, don't you dare kick the seat again. Deer in headlights, she stopped. She stopped kicking the seat, but she pouted the rest of the way home. Again, I will never win Mom of the Year, but we do the best we can, right? So there's an example of how my body language, my scary face, me twisting my body into the back seat, pointing my finger, that's what drove my message home. My words had little play whatsoever, okay? So we want to think about this with our customers. They may be saying something, body language is telling us a totally different story. We need to be able to pick up on these pings and be prepared to explore them, okay? So a huge part of true listening is not only listening to what's being said, but listening to how it's being said. So what do we do when we see a ping? There are positive pings and there are negative pings. A positive ping from our customer is that sign to move forward. They're like, yeah, I like what you're saying. Tell me more. We may be getting those like head shakes that we give our customers when we want them to know that we're engaged. They may like have like, you may see like signs of excitement, whatever it is. A positive ping is for us to keep that bus moving forward, right? What happens when we see a negative ping? Is it a sign for us just to abort mission and like run out of the office or slam the phone down? No, it is just our signal to slow down, okay? We might need to pause, pump the brakes, ask our customers like what their perspective is. How do you feel about that? Like, how does that sound to you? And if we don't, if they're like, no, that's absolutely not the direction I want to take, well, then we get to pivot, right? We get to pivot and take that conversation in a different direction. But if we were to ignore that side and just keep right on going, we're going to miss the boat with that customer. We are totally going to miss out on whatever that opportunity is. We also, when we pick up on a negative ping, we might be anticipating an objection. We can turn that objection into a question and then answer it. So I think one of the most effective things that we can do if we're uncertain about the ping that we're trying to pick up on with that customer, ask more questions. Someone said it earlier, ask really good questions. Ask questions to make sure that you really understand your customer and that you're not misunderstanding what their intent is. So we're going to put this into practice, and hopefully I don't give away anything, and you guys can put this in chat again. So I'm going to show you a couple of pictures, and I want you to tell me, throw it in chat, is this a positive or a negative ping? Our good friend Jen. And for some reason right now, I can't see, there it is. Oh, there we go. All right. Is this a positive or a negative? I hear negative. Negative, negative, negative. Now, what happens if you're her seller and you're lucky enough to have Jen Aniston as your customer, and you say, hey, Jen, I'd like to get you set up online so you can keep track of all your orders. Now, what do you think? Michelle says positive. And if you're unsure, maybe you need to ask a question. Hey, Jen, what do you think about that? How does that sound to you? Positive. Okay, let's try another one on. All right, Jerry. Hey, Jerry, I'm going to call our product support team to find that answer for you. What do you guys think? Is that a positive or a negative ping? Negative, 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 negative. Yeah. Jerry's not saying a word, but the roll of the eyes kind of gives it away. So you better believe if I am his sales rep, hey, Jerry, I can tell you've heard that before from other sellers. You have my word. I am going to call our product support team as soon as I hang up this phone with you, and you will hear back from me before, close the business today. All right. You definitely don't want to steamroll and ignore a ping quite like that. Oh, Stanley. Stan, thanks for your time today. I really look forward to our new partnership. What do you guys think? Is this a positive or a negative? Negative. I'll tell you, positive, it depends on if you're an Office fan like I am, like he's not one to give a lot of positive emotion. So knowing him, it could go either way, right? So again, explore. I like these because, well, other than Jerry's is like a dead giveaway. Like obviously that was a negative ping, but it is imperative that we not only identify, but we explore pings. So I would guess, and you guys don't have to put it in chat, but on a scale of 1 to 10, oh my goodness, that's a fax behind me and it's not even my fax machine. I don't know how to answer it. That might be a little bit loud here for a second. But if you are exploring, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, you guys most likely are really good at recognizing pings. Okay, I'd say like maybe 8+ for most of us. But what about exploring pings, especially the negative ones? Because that can be a little bit, maybe not a little bit intimidating, right? If you can tell your customer is not really in agreement with you, how do we explore those pings? And what is the difference? Let's say you have a proposal prepared for your customer and you walk in and you had this established meeting. Mr. Customer, I'm here, I've got the proposal, can't wait to share this with you. And your customer's doing this, looking at their watch, kind of tapping the table, the legs are moving, and you continue with this proposal, okay? And then when you're done with this proposal, hey, Mr. Customer, who's still looking at his watch, what do you think? They're like, you know what, I am so sorry, Taylor, I double booked myself today. Why don't you leave that with me? I'll look over it and I'll let you know if I have any questions. Or you go in and you see immediately that your customer like looks at their watch and is like, and you realize this customer needs to be somewhere. oh my gosh, Mr. Customer, you really seem like you're distracted, like you maybe need to be at another meeting. Oh my gosh, Taylor, I am so sorry, I double booked myself. Oh my goodness, that's no problem, Mr. Customer. Why don't I come back same time on Friday? Because I really want to go over this proposal with you and be able to answer any questions you have kind of in the moment. You know what, Taylor, that would be a better use of our time. Really appreciate that. That could be the difference between not exploring pings and exploring pings, regardless of how uncomfortable it might feel. Right, Stanley? There he goes. He's nodding his head. Yeah, right, Courtney. All right, so our last active listening skill is restatement, okay? And restatement is really the act of paraphrasing. It is paraphrasing what our customers have told us and asking a check-in questions really to make sure that we understand what they've said, okay? Making sure that you didn't misinterpret anything and you're really picking up what they're putting down, okay? So there are 3 ways that we use restatements. So the first is to confirm something. So this can be where we literally restate what they've just said and ask a question. So an example might be, so Mr. Customer, it seems like you're really concerned with your safety team having excess exposure to chemicals. Is that right? Customer says, yeah, Courtney, that's right. Okay, so I just got clarification. That's their biggest concern right now. Okay, another way to do it is to get more information. So this would be where we kind of restate and then ask kind of an expanding scope question. So same scenario. All right, Mr. Customer, it sounds like you're really concerned with your team having that excess chemical exposure. Can you elaborate a little bit more around what's kind of driving that concern? That gets the customer talking, gets them to share more information around what their concern is really about, what that pressure is. And then finally, my favorite, to buy yourself more time. Remember when we talked about those elusive 600 words? You've just heard your customer like say 150 words, but let's say it was kind of an off day and those last 600 words, your brain went in different directions, okay? And by the time your customer is about to stop talking, the only thing that you've heard them say is chemical exposure. So one way to kind of regroup, save yourself, is just repeat that with a questioning tone. Chemical exposure? I will tell you guys, I'm not the best at that one. I kind of got to practice that one so I sound real. But that can be a way to buy yourself time, especially if you just accidentally checked out in those 600 elusive words, right? So restatements are great. They make sure that you're on point with your customer, that you are tracking with them, that you truly understand what they've said and the meaning behind that, right? That's the worst thing we want to do, is leave a customer appointment and be like, I don't know if I really heard them right. Like, is that really what they mean? We want to do that, check that in the moment. The second is just to get them talking more. So I hear what you're saying, but can you tell me more about that, right? We're the expert communicators. Our customers aren't expecting to be. So it's our job to help draw that information. And then of course, buy yourself time, mentally catch up with your customer if you checked out there for a quick second. So those are restatements. So here are some of my favorite active listening quotes. And actually my favorite one is the one down here at the bottom that our Grainger LDC team just kind of created. I don't know that any of us can really take credit for it, but your questions are only as good as your ability to listen to the answer. So we've talked over the last 20 or so minutes about really solid active listening skills. We talked about picking up on pings. We talked about using restatements to really make sure we hear our customers, to get them talking more. We talked about responsive listening, really getting our customers, letting them know we're engaged. We want to hear more by things like eye contact, nodding our head, open posture. We talked about things not to do, like that really painful role play you witnessed between Taylor and myself. We don't want to interrupt our customers, even if it's coming from a good place, right? We have solutions, we have products, we have services, but we need to pump the brakes and get the full picture before we even begin to go down that road, all right? So active listening, it's not new. It has always been important for us as successful sales professionals, but I think it's more important now than ever. There is a lot of noise in our world right now. We've already talked about, COVID has absolutely changed our lives personally and professionally, and it's done the same with our customers. So you may be showing up to a customer meeting where this contact now has 8 other roles than they did this time last year. Or their company's vision, their goals, their priorities may have totally shifted because of COVID. We need to be able to go in and really listen to what that shift, what those changes really are, and what that means to the customer. Because it's not until we really, really can do that, really understand what our customers value, until we do that, we can't really align ourselves. But when we do have that full picture, that full understanding, that is when we can really align ourselves as professionals and align ourselves as valued business partners, okay? And folks, in my book, that's a win-win. So thanks so much for playing along with me this last little bit around active listening. I loved all the input that I got in chat. So now we're gonna switch gears, and I wanna hear from you guys, whether you have questions. Did you have an aha moment while I was talking? Did something really resonate with you? Was there something that you're like, you know what, I really need to work on that? I'm all about some shares. So I'm gonna open up the chat again and would love to hear from you guys. Again, whether it's a question for me or just something that really resonated you or you had an aha moment. I know this is not a bashful group.
Well, Courtney, can I start off with a question? This is Cynthia from Innocent, Ohio chapter.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, ping was really something that was really interesting to me because we see ping all the time. So in response from a customer, let's say we have a customer that has a lot of ping, but also does not give you an opportunity to respond to their ping. They continue talking and things. And I heard the restatement. Do we use restatement to be able to interject, to ask them questions so we can continue the conversation, make it more positive, and to ask them questions about their ping?
That is a great question. And I would say absolutely yes. And I think you can use that, since you are in both a positive or a negative ping. So if your customer is showing, because I mean, we can all be actors, right? If your customer seems like they're really excited about it, I don't know, maybe they're just putting on a front. You can always use those restatements to check in with them. Hey, so I hear what you're saying. I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. So, you know, X, Y, and Z. Did I get that right? Is that right? Yeah, absolutely, Cynthia. That's awesome. That sounds like a great idea. So I think that is a great tool to use both with positive and negative negative pings, especially if they kind of go on they're kind of going in a maybe if they're going in a different direction than we were anticipating. Oh, we've now got to pivot. I got to make sure that I'm really tracking with that customer. Those restatements are a great way to do that, for sure.
Thank you, Courtney. And we have another great question by Eddie Holman. And he said, can you comment on navigating sarcasm? Interesting.
That's a good one.
Yes.
You know, that's a really good one. I think there are a couple of elements that can come into play. One can be the existing relationship you have with the customer, right? If you have a customer that you've been working with, you know, pretty well, over, you know, a couple of years or a few months, whatever it may be, and you know they're sarcastic in nature, sometimes you can play into that, right? I think you have to read the scenario, because if they're being sarcastic and then they're not playing around, I think you can call it out and say, hey, you know what? I'm kind of feeling like you may not be jiving with what I'm talking about. Am I right? You know, and I think it's okay to push back a little bit and, you know, hey, I'm picking up on vibes. This isn't flying with you. Can you let me know if I'm right or wrong? And hopefully the customer will tell you the truth. Now, if they're just being sarcastic, I know a lot of times when I train new sellers with Grainger, they'll be like, yeah, I went in to see the customer, and they're like, hey, yeah, nice to see you. How long are you going to be around? You know, if they have, anyways. So it's, you know, if you're like that, then sometimes you'll play back. You know what? I'm not going anywhere. I love my job. I absolutely am excited to work with you. Let me know how you like to best work with your sales representative. So I think you need to read the scenario. That's a really good question, Eddie, for sure.
Yeah, that was a good question, Annie. Well, I have another question for you.
Okay.
You really gave us a great presentation, but sometimes we have to practice in order to have active listening. What do you suggest we do? Is it role playing with our colleagues, or do we collaborate with maybe even a customer and say, hey, I want to listen better. Can you help me? What do we do?
I love that. I love that question. Y'all, practicing is key in order to fine tune any of our skills, but I think especially active listening. I think role plays are great. You know, newsflash, they're awkward. But I think if you have like sales team meetings, I think that could be a really, really solid environment to practice those skills. And I guess I would throw that out to your leaders, or any, you know, even sellers that are team leads. That could be something you guys can do internally as teams. You can also practice on your family or friends. I'll tell you, Taylor and I were talking last week. And so we're, you know, my family and I are on a little trip this week, and my husband literally was starting to tell me about an idea he had for the girls while we're down here at the beach. And without thinking, I interrupted him, and I was like, I was thinking, and his body language, like him looking at me like, did you really just interrupt me? I literally put my hand over my mouth, and he's like, aren't you getting ready to do a presentation on active listening? So I'm telling you, put it in practice with your friends and family, because we find us doing this like in a social environment too. Do we ever interrupt our friends? Like, not because we're work, but because we're like, oh my God, I did the same thing. I can't wait to tell you about it. Practice just putting the brakes on and really using your ears until it's your turn to talk.
I really like that, putting brakes on. That's excellent. So another question, any advice on handling microaggressions from your customers, either against your particular group or another? And then how should you address that without judging or embarrassing the customer? And this was from an anonymous attendee.
Okay. So did it sound like, since you are, that it was like, for instance, you're going to do a proposal and the customer is going to reject like your solution? Is that kind of the setup? Is that the question?
Yeah, it sounded like that was the question. That's what I perceived it as.
Okay, that is a really good question. My honest answer is, until we really understand what our customers value, until we really listen and hear what's most important to them, we should not be talking solutions. Even if you have everything under the sun that customer needs, you have to understand what their motives are, what their pressures are. And until you're in alignment with that, you could be like you might as well throw spaghetti noodles on the wall and just see what sticks, right? So you want to have a pretty darn clear idea before you go into that presentation, that proposal meeting, that your customer is already like in alignment with this. And that's where those checking questions, like if you're like, what do you think? Like, so I'm hearing this and this, is that correct? And your customer says, no, I didn't mean that whatsoever. Again, our customers they may not be the best communicators. So they may have said something, and by the time you repeat it, they're like, oh, I guess I did say that, but that's not what I meant. We want to have total clarity around our customer's vision before we come in with proposals. And I think that is the best way to avoid getting the boot. And getting a solid no. I really think, and that's where, as salespeople, we want to get through that sales process as quickly as possible, so we close that opportunity and move on to the next one. But we could really miss the boat if we don't really understand what's most important for our customers. Yes. Great question.
Yes, it was a good question. So Demaro Hairston said or asked, how can you pick up on pings when presenting over the telephone?
Ooh, this crazy virtual space that we're all in. That's a really good question. The good thing about pings is that they're not always going to be body language. All right. A lot of it's going to be voice. And I think really setting the expectation, especially if you're going to have a full-blown meeting over the phone, you do not want to find yourself doing the majority of the talking, because how hard is it to stay engaged on the phone, especially when you don't have a visual? I think it is key to really set up the expectations for that meeting. have an agenda, have a purpose for the meeting, have a process for the meeting, have a mutually beneficial payoff for both you and the customer, but make sure they're in alignment with that before the conversation even begins. So really set the stage. Ask your customer, hey, is there anything else you want to add to this conversation? Here's kind of my objective. Here's what I wanted to cover. Anything you want to add, anything else you'd like to talk about. It needs to be two parties, right? You do not want to get on a phone call and have a one-sided conversation. Make sure when you're on that phone that your customer is actually doing the majority of the talking and you're asking really solid, well thought out questions. And then really listen. I mean, you gotta listen really, really hard with those phone conversations. Any changes in the tone of voice, right? Does the tone go up? Does it go down? Do they get really serious? You can always hear people on the phone when they're smiling. Think about it. Like, how do you sound when you're not smiling? I feel very dull. But when I smile, I think my voice reflects that. So kind of pick up on that. Great question. Those are really good. Good questions.
Yeah, and especially, Courtney, if they're doing a virtual, like Zoom, and you can't see their face. That was a great question. Your response, your answer was really good. So Rodney Coates asked, please comment on customers that may be confused on the sales proposal you are trying to execute for them versus the dominant competitor.
What's that? Yeah, so I think it goes back to, we never want to surprise our customers with a proposal, right? They should know what's coming. And so I think it goes back to really being in alignment with our customers and not being last to the table. I think if we can be be seen as a valued business partner, not a product peddler, if we can be a part of those early stage conversations with the customer, like almost helping them decide on what solution they need, if we can be there at the start, I think we have a better chance of winning that opportunity when it comes down to the proposal. And I think, again, it's tracking along the way. Like one of my favorite questions to ask customers is a what if question. What if you could put more time back into your day, back into your employee's day by simplifying this process and that process and that process? You actually kind of you can get like a soft yes or even a soft no before you're even close to the proposal stage. So I think what if questions, really kind of running things by your customer without even going into proposal mode yet, so that you have a really good idea of what direction they would want to go in. Yeah, I definitely, you do not want to be coming to the table by the time the customer has already decided what solution they need. They've already established what their budget is. If that's when they contact you, or that's when you happen to pick up the phone and get them, you're going to be stuck, negotiating price. You're not going to be seen as a valued business partner, right? You're going to be just another vendor. But if you're really there at the beginning stages of those conversations and planning, you're seen as a business partner and not just a vendor or supplier. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Courtney, for that. And this is our last question. And this is from Ahmad Parishan. Any additional insights on how to address inactive listeners during virtual video calls?
Let me ask you, does this mean like teammates? Teammate and be like, hey, Scott, you're not listening. I can tell you're not listening. Or are we talking about, if we're talking about team atmosphere, I think the more engagement you can bring everyone into, the better. I think the same thing for customer conversations. I think that we can actually set up our customers to be good listeners as well. And that's by asking them questions. Well, what do you think about that, right? And I think when it comes to like presentations like today, Zoom, it's hard. It is like the virtual platform, it's not easy to keep people engaged, but even doing things like what we've done here in chat, what we're doing right now, asking questions, any little thing that you can do to create back and forth engagement and kind of get people's wheels turning, I think all the better. And I think if you're going to present, whether it's to a customer or to your team or on a day like today, you want to practice. You want to practice so you feel really comfortable in the material so that you can have fun and be really engaging while you're actually presenting. And that's the same to a customer. If you're going to present a proposal, know that thing back, forward, upside down, back, all of it, right? So that you can really talk fluidly and not be thinking, what am I going to say next? But instead engaging your active listening.
Courtney, we really appreciate the presentation and your response to the questions. And if anyone else has any questions, Taylor will add Courtney's LinkedIn to the chat box so you can ask your questions and Courtney will respond, because we want to give Nick some time, and I'm sure everyone's interested in career information. And I know that you all want in the chat box, you all applaud Courtney because she did a great job. Thanks again.
I think it's snaps, right? I think we do virtual snaps now.
Nick?
Awesome. Thanks, Cynthia, and thanks, Courtney. Really awesome job. Thanks for leading us through some of those active listening tips. I think what resonates the most with me is that we absolutely can use those at work every day with our customers, but we also have a unique opportunity to Courtney's point of practicing with our friends and our family to overall just foster some really, really great relationships across the board. So as we talk about partnering with NSN and really helping our sales people continue to develop from a leadership perspective and their own skills perspective, I wanted to take a minute just to review where the skills and the experience really come together and meet opportunity. So for those that I have not met, my name is Nick Trotter, and I have the privilege of leading the field sales team in the central region across the U.S. And I'm extremely excited as the chapters that are present here in the presentation today are right in the backyard for the geographies that we serve. And so I'm really excited to spend some time really educating you not only around Grainger, but around some of the career opportunities that we have available for those that may not be as familiar with Grainger. So many of you may have heard the name, but you may not know who we are and what we do. So I'd like to take really the next couple of minutes and just walk you through why Grainger, who Grainger is, and ultimately leave you with a couple of things to think about as you start to explore additional career opportunities. So Courtney, if you'll flip to the next slide, when you talk about Grainger, we are the industry leader and a broad line distributor of products and services that help customers really maintain, repair, and operate their facilities. So at about $11.5 billion, we are a company of around 25,000 team members that are headquartered in just north of the Chicago area, right in a small area called Lake Forest. But we are mighty with a global footprint. And so, our business is supported by roughly 5,000 different suppliers that represent about 1.6 million different products that we bring to our customers, many of which are stocked through our distribution centers and our branch network. And so when you talk about, a footprint and having $11 billion in sales with 25,000 team members, we've been at this a long time. With over 90 years of experience, we've continued to drive value for our customers. We've continued to foster a culture where we can be curious and welcoming, and most importantly, inclusive and diverse, and creating a very vibrant workplace that values everyone's experiences across the board. So you think about a Fortune 500 company, what we really pride ourselves on is being able to create opportunities for folks to thrive in their career and continue in their development journey over time, not only in sales, but across all different types of areas within the business, depending on where your interests may lie or your background or aspirations may be from a long-term career perspective. So if you go to the next slide, Courtney, we talk about the customer experience, and we know that, go back one slide for me, Courtney. So we talk about, like a customer experience, and we know that customer experience really starts, with our team member experience. And that's why we really strive to create that culture where diverse individuals can bring their best ideas and their whole selves to work. And so, we could go on and talk about a lot of the recognitions that we received, and I can tell you about it from my perspective of why Grainger is a great place to work. But I really wanted to focus on one main recognition piece here. And since we've got a huge audience of salespeople and sales leaders, the main one I want to bring your attention to is front and center in the middle of the screen, where Selling Power has recognized Grainger as one of the top 50 best companies to sell for in 2020. And when you look at, how do they actually get to that rating and that nomination and selection for a company like Grainger, they evaluate a couple of different practices: the compensation, the benefits, looked at the hiring practices, think about the sales onboarding and the training, as well as from a customer retention and being able to get feedback from our customers as well. So not to toot our own horn, but we've been at this a long time. This is the 20th year in a row, consecutive in a row, that we have received this recognition, and we remain committed day in and day out to building an inclusive and diverse workplace where our team members can continue to grow based on their own career aspirations. So speaking of careers, I want to talk really quickly about some of the resources that I'm going to challenge you to take a look at so that you can better understand if there's an opportunity for you at Grainger. So on the next slide, what you're going to see on the left-hand side is a link to our GraingerTotalRewards.com site. And this is a public site. You don't have to be a team member to really understand. I think that it is important, especially in these challenging times, to know if you're going to make a career decision, what that means for your family financially, long-term, as well as keeping a strong work-life balance. And so the GraingerTotalRewards.com website allows you to thoroughly understand what those benefits would be should you come on board as a team member. And the second site on the right-hand side that I want to challenge you to take a look at is going to be our jobs.grainger.com website. And what's really cool about this site is you can see all of the open roles across all of the different functions. And when I say functions, I mean, if you're interested in finance or operations, you want to get in HR, you name it, any of the open roles that we have across the business are going to be listed out on our jobs.grainger.com website. And so I can tell you as of this morning, just taking a really quick look across our general area in the Midwest, I know there's north of 30 different types of sales roles that are open and active out there on the job board today. So when we wrap up this call, certainly waste no time going out and checking to see what roles are the best fit for your skill sets. And if you aren't familiar and you're looking for some level of clarity, that's okay as well. I would also challenge you to take a look at, the last piece that this site offers is it also gives you an opportunity to create a really quick profile where you can set some job alerts. And as you set the job alerts, if things that you're looking for may not necessarily be available today, those job alerts will let you know as they come on board, whether it's I'm in Chicago and I want to move to California, or if I am in an individual contributor as an account manager role somewhere today, but I'm looking at getting into a leadership role, and I'd like to move to Denver, Colorado. You have the ability to set some of those unique alerts that keep you abreast of some of the roles that definitely come available. So before we open it up to some questions or things that may be top of mind for you, on the last slide really represents a couple of areas that I want to bring forth to the forefront. So if we'll go to the next slide, we want to get connected, and as our social media team has done an amazing job of creating a lot of great content, not only from job postings, but just getting educated around who we are, what we do, how we serve our customers every day. And you can see from Instagram, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, we're out on all of the social media sites. So I encourage you to take a moment, come follow us on social media, learn more about who Grainger is and how we do business, and ultimately learn about the culture and if the culture we have at Grainger may be a great fit for you and for your career. And finally, I'd like to on the right hand of the slide, I'd offer two really key contacts. Myself, as you see listed on the bottom, but Colleen Samansky is our lead talent acquisitions partner, who has also partnered with us here in the Chicagoland area. She's played a lead role in helping us not only with making roles available in the Midwest area, but I will tell you my personal journey with Colleen started back in 2013, as she's the talent acquisitions support partner that recruited me to Grainger and has been along my career path for a number of years. So Colleen, I know you're out there joining us today. Thank you for all your hard work. Thanks for bringing me and making me a part of the Grainger team. And team, certainly if you have additional questions and would like to learn more about open roles and opportunities that you see, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or to Colleen directly. Would love to get connected and would love to spend some time talking to you about open roles. So with that, I wanted to extend a very special thank you to the NSN Chicago chapter. Thank you for bringing in the St. Louis and the Ohio chapters for the seminar today. And Sincere, I believe that you are out there, and I want to turn it back over to you for any general questions that may be out there from a career perspective.
Thank you, Nick. Yes. Does anyone have any questions concerning Grainger and what Nick just spoke about? And even Nick can probably reference any questions you might have about Colleen being a talent acquisitioner. Well, you know, Nick, I have a question. So Grainger right now, do we have to, a lot of us have sales experience, but some of us may not that is on this call. Do we have to have sales experience in order to apply for Grainger positions right now?
Awesome question. The answer to that is no. We have a range of different roles that range from early in career, very, very little experience to no experience, to more complex multi-site contract negotiation-based roles as well. So this is where I would certainly encourage you to reach out to myself, reach out to Colleen, and let us understand a bit more about your background, and then be able to help you and point you in the right direction for the role that might be best suited based on where you are in your career journey. So I think that's a really, really awesome question. The last thing we want is to turn great talent away just because we feel that we may not have the experience for the role that we want to go after.
Yeah, and you know, because of COVID-19, a lot of people have been furloughed, I guess I gotta get that word right. I don't like that word, and laid off. So we have used our network to join on this webinar. So some people may not be in the central region. Relocation, is that something that people can take advantage of if they are out of the central region and want to join your team, Nick? Is that something you—
Absolutely. Absolutely. The jobs.grainger.com site has all of the roles that are currently open, posted across the entire organization. So don't shy away because you're not here in the central region. I'm here representing the central region as I live in the Chicagoland area, but I've got several of my peers that are also on the call here today. And Colleen also does an amazing job of of getting talent connected with where you want to be geographically, as well as experience and background and skill set for the right role. So come forward and if you've got questions, certainly ask them. We will get you connected in the right way.
Nick, thank you for that. Now, Rodney Coates, he has a very good question. He said, how has Grainger adapted in the field sales role in response to COVID-19?
Awesome question. We have our roles over the last couple of months have evolved from being, as you would believe, from a true outside sales perspective, being 100% out in the field to some modified versions. The tricky piece has been understanding what states and local governments and so forth have allowed. But the one thing that has remained is we've been committed to making sure that all of our team members stay safe. And we've taken extreme, cautions and provided personal protective equipment for team members that are out in the field. Second is we've had to understand and really what our customers have allowed us to actually do. And so where they've allowed us to be on site and they are respective of our PPE requirements, we've mutually agreed that we've got a great reason to be on site. We've actually shifted from being in a virtual environment to actually being back out in the field. So we're committed to making all the right decisions we need to through the COVID scenario, protecting our team members, but ultimately continuing to make sure we serve our customers to the best of our ability without compromising what our commitment is from our value proposition to our customers.
Thank you, Nick. And we greatly appreciate you going over Grainger and introducing us to Colleen. So now I'm going to pass it on to Ross, who is the NSN St. Louis chapter president. Ross?
Thank you, Cynthia. Appreciate it. Nick, I did have actually one last question. I just typed in the chat there. I wanted to ask, I know we've had a long-standing relationship with Grainger in the St. Louis sector. Could you speak more to, from my understanding, Grainger does serve in different business sectors in the communities. Can you kind of speak to what those are? And if so, how that looks like as far as career advancement? If a person starts a career with Grainger, are they able to shift? I'm sure they are, you know, do a paradigm shift between different sectors. And is that going to inhibit or enhance their chance to grow within that sector they're serving in as well?
Yeah, awesome question there. So I'll take that really kind of in two parts. The first part is the customers in terms of that we serve from a business sector perspective. So across the business, we serve all types of customers: heavy manufacturing, light manufacturing, food processing, healthcare, you know, chemical manufacturing, to retail, to hospitals, to hotel and hospitality. So we serve all different types of business industries, effectively just supporting commerce across the board. Within Grainger, we actually have some industry verticals that we've classified customers in, like a commercial customers, manufacturing, healthcare, government, those verticals. So as I think about, you know, the question there, Ross, you know, it could very well be that you've got someone on the call here who has experience supporting, working in pharmaceutical sales or working with acute care facilities, and you're trying to understand, you know, how do I bridge the gap between what my current experience is and working for Grainger. Those two of those can actually come together working underneath our healthcare vertical. And so as you come in, you know, you've got a multiple different roles, whether that's an account manager, whether that's a contract manager, or a specialist within our healthcare team. There are a lot of different opportunities that you can come in and learn Grainger, understand the customer base, learn what's going to make you successful long term, and continue to progress within your career. So the long-winded answer is, you know, everything I just said. The short-winded answer is we serve all different types of industries, and regardless of which industry segment you come into Grainger, you have a lot of opportunity to progress vertically throughout the organization and continue growing in your career.
Okay. I appreciate the
Thanks
feedback.
for the question.
Yep, yeah, it does. Thank you for that. I appreciate those words you're able to kind of help us out with. I know I get those questions a lot here. And, you know, thank you to Grainger. They've been a long-time partner since I've been with the chapter for St. Louis locally. And for everybody on the call, they're currently, as Nick mentioned earlier, currently hiring and seeking our cream of the crop talent. It's not often like someone like NSN is able to connect you with the leaders directly on calls like this or events that we have. You know, we've kind of shifted from our everyday in-person events to virtually. So with that said, if Colleen and Nick can put in either your contact LinkedIn or emails, and Courtney as well, that'd be greatly appreciated so everyone can connect on their time as we have time going forward too. Oh, am I not on? Can everybody see me? Thought I had my camera on. I think so.
Ross, your camera's on, but you're not in the frame.
Oh, I'm not in the frame. Little technical difficulty. Let me get my. Is that better? Oh, why am I not?
No, I think you have to flip your camera.
Just a second. That would help out, right? Oh, I switched it when I was talking to Nick. There we go. Thanks, Taylor. Is that a little bit better there? Appreciate it. Yeah. So yeah, and thanks everyone for being involved with the chat too. Let me see. We got everybody on here in the chat. Great. Yeah, so if we have all the information to follow up with our Grainger leaders. Hopefully everyone enjoyed their time today. And this is part of being an NSN member. We have access to our frontline managers and people in talent acquisition like Grainger in the St. Louis market. Our current sponsors are Country Financial, Remy Martin and Grainger, of course, and also Anuma we're bringing on as well too. So we'd like to thank you all for the time today. Sponsorship is one of the keys we have to facilitate our chapters, to run our networking and social events, and also with our workshop and webinar building as we've had today. I can tell you a quick story about my membership, kind of how it came from me starting 10 years ago up till now. I was actually in some of the current state we're now back in 2008, 2009. With some layoffs I actually have endured. So it's kind of relevant to the COVID situation we're having now with some unfortunate furloughs and layoffs. I've been in that category 10, 11 years ago and happened to hear about NSN and learn a little bit more about the chapter. Hadn't joined yet, actually ended up joining a year later. But I can tell you since then, I initially approached it as a chance to look for a new career or a new job. But since then, it's actually turned into a lot more, I should say. I've had a chance to connect with people in different industries, from finance, from pharmaceuticals. I've actually been fortunate enough to have been atrocious with different opportunities in careers in medical sales and some other business sales. And that's from being a member, and that's from being an active member too. A lot of times when I do speak to new or current or interested members, they often ask the question about what jobs are open right now, which is totally understandable. We always want to further our career and move in advance. But the key with NSN is National Sales Network. Network being the big piece in sales. So you're able to network with people outside of your comfort zone, outside of an industry that you might not normally look in. And NSN gives us the platform to do that. If any more questions with membership, please connect with myself, Taylor, or CNCR on that standpoint. Anything locally in St. Louis we can be reached at nsnstlouis@gmail.com. We're happy to answer any questions about membership. The membership is for 12 months. It's a rolling 12 months. So if you were to sign up today, that membership would take you through August of next year. We appreciate you joining. That membership fee is $150. And you'll get, I believe you'll get most of that back tenfold, attending our events and connecting with all of our sponsors and also our members as well too. One thing this COVID has taught us and taught our chapter too, we've had a chance to connect like we've done today with our Midwest Swing event, I like to call it, with Chicago and also Ohio. Thank you all for collaborating and making this a great event. To all of our members locally in St. Louis, Chicago, and Ohio, you do have access to all of our chapters. So if you are a member and things come up, or if you're interested in a relocation to one of our cities, any other cities that are chartered with NSN, we would love to have you ask questions. You're also able to come to our events as well and correspond with our sponsors and also our members too. And with that piece said, lastly, Taylor, I'd like to just give a piece that Taylor wanted to go through at the end with our Go and Grow initiative. NSN has been blessed to be a foothold in the community in our St. Louis market, and we always like to give back to our communities as well too. With that said, we have decided on this call and going forward, it's accessible for the Eventbrite link to go and donate to our initiatives on there. For St. Louis, it's the YWCA Head Start. We typically do our holiday party catered to the group where they do family giveaways during the Christmas holiday. And I'm lucky enough to have some notes here from Sharon. I think she's on the call locally here. We've been able to support them. They've been a big supporter of us for the last several years. I just wanted to give a few tidbits on what they are. They provide service for more than 1,400 preschool age children and more than 200 infants a year. During COVID-19, they have had to get creative in providing their services for all families, which a lot of us have. The number of staff and children have been reduced to make sure we have safe places for the children to go. We have more educational packages sent to the children who are unable to attend. Meetings have been done on Zoom to help reduce contact. Our centers are cleaned daily, and we are moving forward. Our summer program closed and reopened in 2 weeks for the new school year. We are looking at the tablets for children to keep them connected to their classmates, and it seems to be changing weekly. With that said, Sharon, thank you for being a partner with us. We will be donating the $300 to your community and to your event as well. That's what I had from a membership standpoint. Taylor, at this time, would you like me to proceed with the giveaway contest?
Yep, that's fine.
We got some stuff in the chat. I don't know what I missed. Okay. So we'll start like this. So what we're doing is the 2020 NSN National Conference has been moved to 2021. I've had a chance to go to my first one last year in Atlanta. Had a great time. Got to connect with Taylor and CNCR for the first time as I was entering my role as NSN St. Louis president. It's a great 3-day conference. We'll have, amongst Grainger being one of the attendees for sponsorships, over 50 sponsors are in attendance. People from all over the country that are members are looking for membership or conference come out and attend. It's a great time. So it's been shifted, unfortunately, with COVID to 2021. So I hope that means we'll be able to ramp up for a larger and even better event. With that said, we've decided to do a giveaway on this call with some content from the chapter that Courtney was able to provide for us during the Q&A giving away. So what we will do, I will pick each chapter. We'll just start in kind of chronological order with Chicago on a question here that I'll provide, and you can all go through the chat. Whoever timestamps first is eligible for a registration fee on the chapter, a value worth up to $500. And Taylor and CNCR and myself will be responsible in allocating that to each chapter. So with Chicago, we will start with you first. And it's all timestamped, so I'll give you all a few seconds just to get ready. All right. And Courtney's presented on the initial call. What are the 3 listening skills that she provided that we would discuss today for the Chicago chapter? Were we all active listening? Can we got any responses from the Chicago chapter on that? Give another minute here. If not, we can pass this question to the we could pass this question to the whole group. Let's do that. Let's pass the question to the entire group. So all involved, St. Louis, Ohio, and Chicago. What are the 3 active listening skills that Courtney was to discuss at the initial part of the event? We got a couple answers here. Who's this from? I can't see who this is from. Body language, tone, words. No, it's a different portion. 3 skills. Okay. So responsive listening, ping, and statement. Ding, ding, ding. Rodney Coates. Okay. Thank you, Rodney. Rodney is a part of our illustrious St. Louis chapter. Appreciate your answer on that. We'll be honoring you with a registration piece here. Okay. Next one is, what do you do when you see a ping? It's something you do for a positive ping, and it's also something you do for a negative ping. Yep. Who put the move forward and slow down? That was the answer. Somebody confirm who that was? Is that Tracy? All right, Tracy. Tracy Morgan. Thank you for that. Or is that Stephanie? Okay. And last question, Grainger related. Who honored Grainger with top 50 best companies to sell for in 2020? You're all right, my man. Eric Robertson. And Eric, which chapter are you from, good sir? Put that. Ohio, all right. Go Ohio State. I think they're going to try to have some football this season. So, with that, I'll pass it back to Taylor. That concludes my portion of the event. Thank you all for attending. We'll pass it back to Taylor if she has any other closing remarks and CNCR.
Nope, that was it. Thank you so much, Ross. Thank you all for participating and using your active listening skills. I definitely want to take the time to thank Grainger for leading this workshop with us. Thank you to my fellow chapter presidents for also being a part of this amazing event. As I mentioned in the chat, this is going to be recorded so that you all can listen to it and learn from it later on. So stay tuned for that. You should receive an email with that information within the next couple business days. Cynthia, did you have anything else you wanted to add before we close things out?
Definitely wanted to tell everyone that New Birth Christian Ministries is going to get the funding, the donation for the Growth Program. They started a program for students and parents because of COVID-19. Everyone does not have a computer. They don't know how to do virtual learning. And so they kicked that off. So we're going to donate the $300. But I want to thank Grainger. And then Taylor, definitely want to thank you for being the lead on this program. You did an awesome job. And Ross, you did a great job as well. And I want to thank everyone that attended the program.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
Thank you.